CNN has spectacularly and surprisingly slammed Barack Obama.
Honestly, it's not unfair to say if President Obama's going to write a whole post about a peace deal, maybe he should acknowledge the president that brokered it.
If Donald Trump gets a peace deal, he deserves the credit.
If CNN has to correct you, you've clearly lost the plot. Welcome to Right Power, where we stand on the right side of common sense in a world consumed by left-wing outrage. Obama, the man who got a Nobel Peace Prize for getting elected, then proceeded to drone strike a bunch of civilians. Nobody massages language like this guy. He could describe an asteroid impact as a moment of planetary adjustment. Notice how he calls it a conflict. Not terrorism, not mass murder, just a conflict. Like Gaza and Israel are two neighbors arguing, like somebody's golden retriever wandered into someone's yard and dug up the begonias. After 2 years of unimaginable loss, we must all remember to close our gates and respect local boundaries. Yeah, Barack, it's not a zoning issue. It's terrorism. But Democrats love that soft-serve moral framing, where every side gets a participation trophy for trying. You notice they never actually say who caused it or who stopped it. Just this vague cloud of tragedy floating in a world of no accountability. Because if they did, they'd have to admit that peace in the region didn't come from a kumbaya committee or a climate summit. It came from policies they hated and a president they can't stand. They want peace, just not that kind of peace. The kind that actually works. The kind that requires strength, leverage, and maybe a few mean tweets. Look, I'm all for peace, real peace, but not the kind written in a press release with humanity sprinkled like parsley on a plate of hypocrisy. Obama says we need to recognize the common humanity of both peoples. The reality is, Democrats love to sound compassionate, as long as they don't have to be consistent. They'll mourn Israeli suffering in one sentence, and in the next, call Israel an oppressor for defending itself. And through it all, Obama still speaks like the high priest of global diplomacy, soothing, poetic, detached, while pretending the world didn't get more peaceful under the guy they call the Orange Yahtzee. So when he says the conflict is within sight of ending, what he really means is, we finally ran out of ways to spin this without mentioning Trump. But don't worry, Bathhouse Barry. Trump's got this and doesn't need your thanks.
Some of the top Biden administration folks who were there, like Antony Blinken, seem to want some credit for the peace deal. Blinken says it's good that President Trump adopted and built on the plan that the Biden administration developed. What do you think about that?
Everybody knows that's a joke. Look, they did such a bad job. This should have never happened. This wouldn't have even happened. That was weak leadership, terrible. And the same thing with Russia, Ukraine. If just a decent president, not a great president like me, not a great president. If a decent president was in, you wouldn't have had the Russia-Ukraine. And this is, I would say, even more so. This was bad policy by Biden and by Obama. Remember when Bibi came and he begged that you not do what they were doing with Iran? You remember that, right? Begged them. And they wouldn't even listen to him. Everything they did was the opposite of what you should have done. And it's nice that they try and take a little credit. That was years ago, and the mistakes were made years ago, and it was both by Biden and Obama.
The Biden team, yes, the same crew that can't secure a border or pronounce deterrence, now wants credit for Trump's peace deal. Antony Blinken says it's good that Trump built on the plan the Biden administration developed. And Trump's response? Classic. Everybody knows that's a joke. And he's right. Because if there's one thing the Obama-Biden foreign policy team isn't known for, it's peace. These are the same folks who gave pallets of cash to Iran and called it diplomacy. The same team that tripped over their red lines in Syria. The same team that didn't even try to end the Russia-Ukraine war, just kept sending Zelensky more money and weapons to keep the war going. But sure, they wrote the blueprint for peace. When you write it in crayon, no one takes you seriously. Trump points out, correctly, that under even a decent president, not necessarily a great one like me, you wouldn't have had Russia invade Ukraine. That's the thing about Trump. Even when he's bragging, there's data attached. Under him, no new wars. Under Biden, inflation, invasion, and Iran getting cozy again. But sure, Blinken wrote the peace deal on the back of a napkin in 2015. Trump reminded everyone that Israel literally begged Obama and Biden not to fund Iran's terror network. And they did it anyway. The funniest part? Democrats keep trying to rewrite history instead of just learning from it. Because for them, success only counts if their name's on it.
Speaking of no thanks, check out this post by Pocahontas.
For 2 excruciating years, I have called for the return of the hostages brutally kidnapped on October 7th and held in Gaza. But today is a good day. Surviving Israeli hostages are finally home and reuniting with their loved ones. I'm thinking of them and their families on this joyful day. And I'm also grieving for all those who can't come home today. Today must also be an important step towards lasting peace in the region. Peace for both Israelis and Palestinians. We must end the war in Gaza, surge humanitarian aid, and negotiate a two-state solution now.
Oh man, she is getting absolutely reamed online, and deservedly so. Getting called miserable bitch, crazy, and my personal favorite, congrats for securing peace in your own friggin' head. Get in there, Liz. Make it all about you. Like, share, and subscribe.